and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin and this is my experience with a vanity press. So I am starting this new year off with a belated holiday gift to you guys because I do not want anyone else to go through the struggle that I went through. So the short answer of how my experience went is that I got suckered. For those of you who don't know, a vanity press is a publisher where authors pay to have their book published. They will generally accept anything because the goal is to make money off of the people, not necessarily off of book sales. They get their money from you up front, which is why traditional publishers tend to be a lot more discerning because they are reliant on book sales to make their money. And that's why you have to go through the whole process of querying and getting agents and everything to work with them. I'm not going to name the company that I specifically went with, but it turns out it doesn't really matter because a lot of them, if not all of them that I am aware of, are basically under the same umbrella company. That particular fact came out of the woodwork after I had already signed a contract with one of them. So if you feel tempted by a vanity press and you see one that is charging $3,000 for a package and another that is charging $12,000 for a package, do not assume that the $12,000 one is any better. Chances are very good that they are all being outsourced to the exact same people and the parent company is just pocketing the rest. So when I was almost finished writing my first book, it was 2014 and I knew nothing. I hadn't even finished my manuscript yet and I was just looking for options to see what the possibilities of publishing were. So I looked up how to get my book into our national book chain. And wouldn't you know it, they had a spot on their website directing me to this specific company. So I looked again before writing this and thankfully that company is no longer listed on their website that I can find. So, but at the time and being new, I kind of trusted that this book chain knew what it was talking about when it was saying me like, this is what you need to do to get your book on our shelves. Just contact this company, follow these very easy steps and it'll happen. So resources like AuthorTube weren't really big yet, or if they even existed, it was not something that I knew about. And a lot of the information about the damages that these vanity presses could and were causing was not readily available. And because the recommendation had come through this bookstore that I had grown up with and loved, I assumed that it would be the right path for me. So I got their full package, my dad helped me pay for it, and then I was on my way. It honestly started off really good. There was nothing that happened in the early stages that made me question that this was probably not a good thing. It didn't feel like the wrong choice until I got to the marketing stage. Up until that point, all of the staff had been super helpful, very friendly and knowledgeable, and I learned a lot about the industry and the process. But the marketing phase was literal hell, and not just because I hate marketing. So marketing is typically not included in any of their packages. The same with editing, but they can make it seem like it's included, so be very, very careful if you are looking at any of these packages. The marketers know how to manipulate people, and they're all kind of awful. Like, you know the vibe you get with used car salesmen? That is exactly what kind of people these marketers were. They know how to hit emotional angles. They know what to say and what to do to put pressure on you to agree to give them more money. They would phone me constantly, especially while I was at work, and I would email them back, be like, I cannot answer my phone while I'm at my job, and I don't know what is so difficult about that. And they would assure me, be like, yes, we have added this information to your file. I let them know the hours that my lunch hour was, when I was done work for the day. They were in a slightly different time zone, so it's not like it even affected their lunch hour to call me on mine. And when I did speak to the marketing team on the phone, there were cases where they just straight up lied. I won't go into huge details, but probably the worst case of this was they phoned and it started off, they were so excited. They said that they had pitched my book to the New York Times and it was going to be reviewed and featured. They got me super excited about this, and I know that that probably sounds really naive, but I was. And this is my publisher phoning me very excited about this opportunity. And not even an opportunity, they said it was completely assured. They said they just needed me to agree to it. And then they hit me with the cost. They wanted $5,000 for this to happen. So I contacted the paper because I was like, that is really freaking weird that they said, you guys want to review and feature my book, and then they're asking me for all of this money. That doesn't make any sense. And the paper, their legal department was pissed right off. But because their lies had been completely on the phone and I didn't think to record it or anything like that, none of it was in the follow-up email that they sent me, so there was nothing the legal department could do. But if their lies had been in writing, they'd have been facing legal action. I did get suckered for one marketing thing. I can't specifically remember what it was now, but I ended up changing my mind well before the deadline, before anything had happened, before I had to sign up for anything, make any travel plans. And they promised to get me a refund. But they didn't really want to give me a refund. It took me a month of emailing and phoning them and escalating it before this ever happened. So kind of how it works when you're doing like a payment plan, it's like a certain amount per month. So I had paid the first installment and then like in 30 days later you pay the next one. So I'd been promised a refund for my first installment payment. I would phone my marketing consultant, be like, is this being processed? I haven't heard anything. I gave them about a week, and when I hadn't heard anything, I started me like, hey, like what's going on with this? And I would get no response. They're supposed to get back to you within 24 hours, regardless of how you contact them, phone, email, whatever. So I would phone the front desk, ask them, is this person in the office right now? And they would say, yes, absolutely. Would you like us to transfer you? They would not answer if I was transferred because my number would still show up. They wouldn't answer if I phoned them. They would not respond to my emails. And it was getting closer and closer to when I would have to make the next payment, and there were some financial concerns. So I was like, I can't afford to do this anymore. Like, you need to work with me here. And so I started having to keep track of every time I would phone in the morning, I would phone in the afternoon, and if I hadn't heard anything by the next day, I would email. And this went on for 3 weeks before I finally was like, I need to talk to a supervisor. It is so close to the deadline, and I cannot have that coming out of my account. So that finally resulted in me getting a refund, a full cancellation of what I had purchased, and I also got a new marketing consultant. But at that point, I wanted nothing to do with any of them. They were all so unhelpful, and it was a horrible experience. I ended up going through 4 marketing consultants because they just kept giving me a new person in hopes that one of them would be able to convince me to give them more money that I didn't really have to give them, so that was never going to happen. One additional scam that I have heard with these companies that I thankfully do not have personal experience with is that another company underneath the umbrella will poach the author, and once they've got them all signed and removed from the original company, they will do dick all. They will be so difficult to work with that the author will get so frustrated that they will go back to the original company just to get something done, and the original one will be like, hey, here's a super good deal if you want to come back to us. And then the parent company has gotten money out of these authors 3 times. Thankfully, when I looked into getting out of my contract, it was not all that difficult. It was mostly a waiting game and filling out some forms and hoping that they went through with it. There were still some unpaid royalties at the time that I wrote this script, but literally that same day, I got my check finally in the mail, and I have been free of my contract for 2 years. Now I am totally free. Both of my books are completely self-published. I just want to say that at the time, I thought that these publishing companies were what self-publishing was. I did not have any conception that it was something I could do entirely alone. So that would be why I went that route, in addition to the bookstore telling me that that's the route I should take. So even though I am free of my contract and have been so for quite a while, it still follows me. I still get phone calls pretty regularly and emails. So it's either companies that are still under the same umbrella, or my original company sold my information, because the email that they're coming to and the phone number is not public. So anyone who is trying to contact me legitimately would not have that information. Generally, I just ignore them. Sometimes if they are really annoying, then I will email them back and be like, please stop, I am not interested. But it's exhausting. My personal advice would be to avoid vanity publishers at all costs. There are plenty of resources nowadays to get you comfortably through the entirety of the self-publishing process. You don't need to get tangled up in a company that is just waiting to take advantage of you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload, then ring that bell. All my social media links will be in the description below. Both of my books, Olympian Confessions, Hades and Persephone, and Olympian Confessions, Hera, are available now in ebook and paperback. Links to both of those will be on my website. I will see you all next week with another video. Bye!